Hey everybody, how is it going? We are here in sunny ancient Rome. The time and space machine is having some issues. You can see it's a little glitchy. Probably should have gotten a green rocket ship. Got my new shirt on that says just one more tank. I promise. My mom got me that for the holidays, so that was pretty cool. Am I coming in okay? So want to make sure sound and everything's good. Tonight we are going to be talking about Latin and Greek. Now, Latin comes in a few forms, so does Greek. So we will be talking about all of them because why not? That's the most fun, right, guys? I'm going to get rid of this background now because it's just too annoying phasing in and out. It's for my taste anyhow. So let's see here. Virtual background. I think we can get rid of it. We'll just stick with a brick wall. So, why are they called buildings when they're already built? We'll get rid of all of it. All right. So, all right. To start tonight, I do want to say hello to everybody in here, obviously. So, hello, Dr. Mazerall. Good to see you. Happy to hear that you made it down to Peru safely and to your research center. Want to say to folks that it's still an awesome opportunity and time. Yeah, it's a ponytail, Mary. I didn't chop it all off yet. But it's still an awesome opportunity and time to donate to a really good cause. And if you want to go down and collect fish yourself in the Amazon, or maybe you're a professor or a researcher, there isn't a better concept of a place to go to than this. I mean, definitely check out the Amazon's the research center. Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fish is very cool, run by Dr. Mazerall and his wife. So, hello, Thomas, Mary Page. Thanks for modding in here. I know tonight the ladies' night is going on at 6 o'clock, so I'm going to try not to run over that time. And also, I put together a file pack, so I'm going to give people a moment here. If they want, it's pinned at the top of the comments, should still be anyways, yes, to a Dropbox file. Now this file there's some illustrations and we're going to do a little quiz with them, and I put them together. I'm not trying to like make anyone say, oh, woe is you, or woe is me, or any of that kind of thing. But I did spend like 20 or 30 hours on this video, and it's really to make the video, hopefully, that'll be coming out in the next few days. But I wanted you guys to be my test subjects and also the people who could ask questions, and we can kind of refine what it is that we can hope to wrap our minds around in, say, 20 minutes to a half hour in a standalone video. You know, you can make a video that explains how the scientific naming works, and that could be done in 5 or 10 minutes. However, if you want to really understand it and start being able to use it in all, not just fish, but I mean birds, plants, you know, we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to tell you some tips, tricks, little rules that don't make any sense, you know, like there are in every language, that generally apply. Now, I am not a taxonomy expert. This is all research I've done over the years and the last week or so, more intensively. So if I get something wrong, please, by all means, drop a comment if you're watching this later, or please drop, you know, in the live stream chat, drop a comment, because yeah, I can totally need to be corrected as well. Now, we're not going to be talking about conjugating verbs or the exact right way to connect scientific words. So you might have the word red, and in Latin you might be using ruber. Well, rubra or rube could be enough. In certain cases, R-U-B-E is enough. In others, you need R-U-B-R-A, and that works. So there's for every root word there is, or every old word in the Latin or Greek that they use, there's not a hard and fast rule for how it is connected if there's another word afterwards, which makes it a little tricky. And our understanding and our understanding of let's see here. Oh yeah, sorry guys, just reading a message from Fishkid, who I'll be on his stream tomorrow. And then Friday, Christmas Eve, Lawrence Kent, I will be over at his house in Seattle, driving over there as long as the weather permits. We are supposed to get more snow, and we've had like a foot of snow, and it's been all the way down to 14 degrees. I mean, that's, I don't know what, negative 7 or 8 Celsius, and it's just been really intense weather. So the roads have not been good for travel too much, unless you're right on a main artery or main highway or something. So it'll be in the morning though, 10:30 Pacific time and 1:30 p.m. Eastern time on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. Is when that stream will be, and we'll be looking at his fish room. We'll also be able to ask him questions. He's one of the most traveled fish collectors, hobbyists in the world. His job allows him to travel, but I think last count, he's collected fish in like 90 some countries or something. So really interesting guy to talk to, and I think that should be fun. And collecting in a war zone, collecting in places like the Islamic Caliphate, which isn't even like a recognized country, you know. So it should be really interesting. Plus, he has a lot of fish that nobody has. Like literally, he's the only person who has them. Or maybe the Wet Spot has some that he gave the Cichlid Exchange or the Wet Spot, or some breeding facility, Texas Cichlids or something. One of the folks, you know, out there in the world. But he's the only person with a good probably 10 to 20 species at a given time. And his travel videos are always really great if he's ever come to your club or spoken. So, all right, let's get back to what's at hand tonight, and that is the Greek and the Latin. Now, the reason we do this, we're going to condense all this history part of it, is basically due to a guy named Linnaeus. And Carl Linnaeus, he was a guy, Swiss, and he believed in organizing the world. And previously to him, things had common names, and there was a default kind of naming system that many naturalists were starting to use. And it did tend to be in Roman, and that was modern Roman Italian, which is Latin as the modern Catholic Church would speak it. So there are fish that got names in 1650s to the 1750s that kept their name, like, you know, carps and catfish and some of the European natives and some of the food fish, you know, sardines and things like that. They may have changed a little bit, but there are some exceptions where they still have a new Latin or a living Latin. Now, some of this is after Linnaeus comes along into the picture, he sets forth rules for everybody to use when they find a new species. And this is for trees, plants, mold, you name it. And this is around the 1750s, and really by 1800, the entire world and all the naturalists of any merit, I would say, are on board with this system. Later on, when you have naturalism and universities and things like the University of Edinburgh and Harvard and Cambridge, basically kind of the Ivy League schools, and then like Oxford, Cambridge, University of Edinburgh, Berlin, and in various schools in France. When you start seeing all the most high-end and well thought of schools in the world, university-wise, starting to develop programs in either marine biology, oceanography, all that stuff, that's really in the like 1901 to now or whatever. But before that, you were just a naturalist. So it was really good to have the ability to name the range of critters that you would come across. So you may go on an expedition back then and you may find 5 orchids and 2 ferns and 50 birds and 20 reptiles. You know, there was a lot of stuff that needed names. And so that was a system that allowed people within interdisciplinary studies to start giving names. And in those big universities around the world, they started with just what we call naturalists or ecologists or biologists. And it was broad enough that it was many fields. So now obviously we have ichthyology, and we even have people who specialize in the study of taxonomy, and that's what this whole thing is called, the categorizing of species by a Latin name and the hierarchical structure. So let me pull this up to show you guys, and I'm sure you know this, but I wanted to share it with you guys so you can see it. But by the way, it's great to see everybody in here, and I really like seeing so many familiar faces, and hope everybody's holidays went really well. Just pulling this up. Sorry guys, there's a slight delay on things as per usual around here, but I hope everybody's holidays, their Christmas and Hanukkah went well. And I hope that everybody's excited for New Year's. I know I am definitely excited for just another, I don't know, another start, another, it's been 2 years of rough for me anyways. And I'm sure the same is true for y'all. And also while I'm pulling this up, we'll put a pin in that note of how you, of how this discipline of naming things developed. And we're going to then go into, let me hold on. I'm trying to find this. There we go. All right. So now we got to pull it up. It's so hard to multitask between the chat and this. This is why I need like a producer or an assistant on these streams like this one. But there's notes that kind of explain some of this stuff. But essentially there is a genus name and a common or species name or specific name. And that's called binomial nomenclature. That's what the scientific naming is. It's binomial nomenclature. And so it's just, if you didn't know it had a name, well, it does. And that is it. Oh, come on. Why is this? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get the page to load on Wikipedia, but they've got this like charitable donation thing that's popping up in the window instead. Like it counts it. It's counting it as a window on my stream. Wish you could test that before you were live. Plus, it's being slow. So hold on one moment. Let me get this we're going to do a non fish, I think, for the first. Yeah, all right. Because Wikipedia actually has it set up really well, and you probably won't, for what we want to cover tonight. It's not going over the kingdom, phylum, genus, class, species, all that stuff. But Wikipedia does have a really nice way of displaying it. So I just want you guys to be aware of that system in case y'all are not, in case that's not something that you've ever researched or learned in school. All right, come on, share page. Man, this internet is being incredibly slow. Hey, are you running anything on the internet, a movie or anything? Laura, are you running a movie or anything? Oh, weird. Yeah, the internet's just super slow. Sorry. All right. Sorry, guys. Just checking if my wife was on, causing the bandwidth to go crazy. All right. So when you look at any animal, and if you go to Wikipedia, because honestly, you can go to Wikipedia for a lot of things. I know a lot of fish that we keep in our hobby are not on Wikipedia. Maybe their grouping will be. But what I wanted you to see is this right here, which is on the right hand of your screen. It's kingdom, phylum, class, order, and there's infraorder, family, genus, species, subspecies. Sometimes there's subfamilies. But basically, everything tries to get organized into. So kingdom, if we get into that, it's like it's everything from trees, molds, bacteria, all that stuff. And so it splits it up into, well, there's 6 kingdoms now, really. And then, so animals, fungi, bacteria, eukaryotic, prokaryotic, I think, slime molds, plants, and I think that's, I'm trying to think what the other one would be. But in any case, yeah, in under kingdom, but they've got it listed here. So animalia. So that's all animals, from little teeny dust mites and seed shrimp and jellyfish and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, it's all of that stuff. And then we get down to chordata. And so that gives you them with all the ones with basically a spine or a nerve cord that runs down the center of their back or body. And then, so obviously there's certain things that don't have that, little bugs and single cell organisms. So they're in animal, but they're not that. So you get it. I think you get how it goes, but it gets more and more specific until genus. And under genus, you may have anywhere from 1 species, like right here. Yeah, okay, they break this out well. So right here, you can see that the family has only 2 different branches. There's all other dolphins, and then there's the orca-related dolphins, the melon-headed whale, the pygmy whale, pilot whale, Risso's dolphin. But then you can go down, and sometimes when you go down, so we're all the way here, we're all the way up at family, and then we go to subfamily. But and then from there we go to yeah, this is the subfamily here, and then it breaks off again into 2, and there's one that stands alone as a species here in the genus Grampus. Sounds like Krampus. How fitting for Christmas. And then over here we've got the genus of Orcus, I guess, on 1, and then we've also got the pygmy killer whale, the melon-headed whale, and the pilot whale. But so it's a system that you can see. It gets more specific, but what do these names describe, and how is it that we can predict this? So essentially, Wow, come on. I'm going to cut this screen sharing for a sec, see if we can speed this up. And I'm also going to take this off of the live stream. Maybe it is because, yeah, hearing the spelling definitely helps. So, and I'm going to just kind of talk, and then we'll try to get some answers to questions and things like that. After I'm done kind of giving the spiel, and we do the little test type thing. So yeah, but when you see this, the way it's broken down for you, it gets specific. And the two names that we're going to worry about today are only going to be genus and species, and that's generally the name, because by figuring out the genus, you can track back up the family tree from the genus if you're in that field, or if you just have Google nowadays. It used to be a very difficult prospect to do that, but now it's become very, very easy, and it's just, you know, it's great. It's a great way to do it. So so say you are naming something and you need to describe it. Well, you can use either Latin, Greek, names of places, names of people, or you can use kind of made up words by making compound words out of Latin. Now, generally speaking, if you're going to make up a word, like it's in the order of round, like pretend that the genus would be round prickly fish. Okay, that's not it, but pretend that was the Latin name, round prickly fish. And then the species was the blue prickly fish. You could just call it, you know, the Latin name, but sometimes the genus was named separately. Obviously, it was named before the species, unless it is the first of its kind in a species being found. And then sometimes they have to name a whole new genus, a whole subfamily, family, order, infraorder, class, phylum. You know, you name it, they've got to go all the way back up to kingdom, pretty much. Well, to class usually. But fish, there are five, I think 5 orders. And that goes all the way back to like lungfish, bichers, mud skippers, and then it's like all the other fish are like another branch. So it's pretty interesting. And then from there, there's, you know, bony fish, cartilaginous fish, and so you can get really into following what it all means and what the names mean, but they all have meaning. And the big takeaway from tonight's show that I'm hoping that we can teach you guys, or that you guys will learn, and I can share with you, is that this stuff is actually really straightforward to learn, especially for people who speak English or French. Okay, sorry guys, stream down. So I was gonna say, this stuff is really easy to learn, no matter what you speak, as long as it's a Romance language. If you speak German and, you know, some of the other languages, it's generally not as helpful for this specific application. But Italian, Portuguese, French, and English are all, they all share roots. So you guys right now already know a ton of Latin, and I'm going to show you something that I hope is exciting, that I hope is interesting. So let me share. Hey, Shanna, what's up? Let me share a tab. All right. So this is Latin. This is in part of that file pack. And this is just an easy way to look at it. But here you go. You've got ruber for red. Now this, like I was saying, we're not going to get into this too much today, but you're going to kind of look at the main letters of these, because in Latin there's generally a prefix and a suffix, and then there's the root. So there could be pro ruber, which would mean like positive or with or in addition to red. So pro is a Latin prefix. So the prefixes and the suffixes you guys probably know. It's the roots that you may not know, but some of these you may know very well. So here we have like Nigeria. The reason it's called that is because it has people with dark skin. And there you go. There's also, rosé, and in wine, or the reason the plant of roses are called roses. The word cerulean blue is related to this old Latin spelling. And so this Latin is early Latin or dead Latin. It's ancient Latin. And we used that because we decided it was a diplomatic way of using, or Carl Linnaeus did, as well as a bunch of other people at the time. They thought, hey, it will be better if we use a language that is no longer in use. It would be better to it's not playing favoritism by naming everything in English or everything in Greek or German or whatever. So they use dead languages, Greek and Latin, even though ancient Latin, and people still did speak Latin. People still do speak Latin, but it's a little different now, and the pronunciation's different. But I wanted to show you guys that, and it was going to be just for members, but I decided for anybody who tuned in tonight on this stream that you guys are going to get access to all the files, because you guys are here with me and helping me process how I want to unpack this in a standalone video. But so now that you guys know, in theory, the point of the system, now I want you guys to check out, for instance, this next, let me put it up. I'll put it up solo. The next little kink in our system. So now that you get the basics of that, let me pop this up on there. So here we have colors in Greek, and that's because we use Greek. Now, why do we use both Greek and Latin? It's not real clear. Unfortunately, I wish it was. There are certain groups and certain, orders, classes, families, whatever it may be, that the scientists did tend to use all Latin or all Greek, but unfortunately it ends up so that you could have a Greek word for the genus and a Latin word for the species, or at least parts of it. So these are the ancient Latin, and blue we can kind of still see a resemblance to. Just ignore the Roman or Latin, Greek alphabet. But basically, pink. Remember how rosé or rosus was on? It was the same color as this. Also, gray and gris. Brown is cafe, just like your coffee is kind of a dark brown. Purple, and the word mauve. So there's some things we recognize, but a lot we don't. But this is true for all words in Greek and Latin, because they're so familiar to us, because obviously we have a language in English. If you understand what I'm saying right now, you speak the language that's a Romance language, and we have a lot of Germanic roots and things in there too, which is fun. But you'll have an easy time checking that out. So that is these little helpful rundowns, like just knowing those colors, that's going to help you a lot, because the species name oftentimes will say 3 blue lines. So that would be like Trilineatus bleu or whatever. And it may be your Corridora trilineatus bleu. There is a Corridora trilineatus, which just means tri, and that is 3. And then lineatus, meaning lines. So whether it's lineata or lineatus or lineade, that conjugation over time, it was often done incorrectly in the past. Now we fully understand how Latin should be conjugated. And so in theory, taxonomists take this into account and figure that out. But there are exceptions to this. So before we dive in and I give you the cheat sheets and we go over the, this is how you say 1, 2, 3, these are the colors, because most things are colors and numbers of things or parts of the body, like red eye or blue neck or yellow fins, or 3 blue dots or whatever. That's the species name oftentimes. It's that easy. And you guys know so many, and in the files that are loaded on here, we're not going to go through all of them, but I did want to take the time to show you guys how certain things that you probably don't think and you may be impressed with yourself once I show you some of these, because Latin, it seems like it's a dead ancient foreign language, and some things you'll see and they'll click and you'll be like, so that's what that is. Okay, I get it. I get why that word is related to this word. And the Romans who spoke Latin and wrote Latin, they were enamored or I guess infatuated would probably be a better word to say it, with ancient Greek. So a lot of what they do was structured the same way, with the prefix, which is the first few letters before a word, the root, which is the meaning of the word usually, and then the suffix, which is the end of the word of a few letters, usually 2 to 5 letters. And it's usually 3, pre, pro, poly, homo, hetero, 3 or 4. So homo meaning same, hetero meaning different, so male and female, and then sexual, if you're heterosexual, homosexual, same, homo habilis, same as the humans. So there's kind of interesting, when you look at other things, you'll start to be able to look around and be like, oh, I didn't realize I knew that that meant something. But here I'm going to drop another file, and just to show you guys another example here, these are suffixes in Latin. So this is also in that file pack. And what I did is I included the most common ones. So there's 25 suffixes in Latin, 25 suffixes in Greek, 25 in Roman, or in prefixes in Latin, and 25 suffixes in Latin. So you got 50 Greek, 50 Latin, and then we've got about 150 roots in other things. But if you look, if you think of some existing fish, let's think like betta, ETTA, that ending, etta, just means diminutive or small. And it's actually Italian, but that's late Latin, really, is what that means, which is kind of cool. Italian is late Latin. But essence, so say we have, let me find one with a fish that everyone knows. So Ella, diminutive again, meaning small. So Danionellas, those are danios that are smaller than normal danios. So their genus is Danio, because they're like danios, but smaller, so it's Danionella. Then within that genus or that group, which is smaller than normal danios, there are 3 or 4 other species. But it could have been in front of it. There are, it could have been called micro danio or nano danio or micros danios. But they chose to use a suffix in Latin. And part of it's just how it sounds, the way they do things, and the other part of it is what's proper grammar. But I just find that really interesting. Like Discus has this root with it. So if we go and we look up Discus, and I'm sure Anthony is going to, Dr. Mazzaro would be just rolling eyes right now that I don't know the actual meaning fully of discus fish. But let's look it up. Let's look up the etymology. So if you're ever wanting to know, you can always break up words into their etymology, and that'll tell you their origin. But you can also frequently figure out the little details, and more about the fish that you may not know. So like maybe the fish's name might be like, for instance, in some sunfish like bluegill or whatnot, might be the common name, but maybe blue ear is what its name translates to in Latin. And then above that, it might be, and I'm not saying it is, it's not, but it could be without an adipose fin. So maybe it is sans adipose blue ear or whatever, or blue marking. And so that would tell you right there quite a bit about the fish, is appearance usually. Now, taxonomy tends to look at the teeth and the bone structure or the scales and things like that. And those details tend to generally be farther up the taxonomic tree. So back up in the way we split things apart is done anatomically. It's not done by location. It's not done by, size or anything else. It's done by traits and groups that evolved together. But now, because of DNA, it's really changed a lot of things that we thought were related to one another. And to me, it's a marvel that we could figure out this fish is related to that fish without using DNA. I mean, just by looking at, okay, well, the bones develop this way, or this one has lungs. This one's a lung fish. This one has a labyrinth organ, and it's missing this or that. It has 12 rays on its dorsal fin and 4 on its pectoral fins, and then its caudal fin has, say, a dozen or something like that. So with all those cues, they'll look and see what else shares those commonalities. So I hope that is making sense. And then what I wanted to, discus is being so slow, I forgot that it even actually looked it up. So what's interesting is a lot of times there's multiple meanings for these words too. So you could name a given fish about 20 different ways by combining these, either Greek or Latin, and the prefixes and suffixes. So there's not a wrong way to do it in a lot of cases. Now I'm going to tell you about the big exemptions that go into naming in just a minute, because we don't do the same thing with other things. But discus, a round plate-like object thrown in sports. So it's probably going to have its name all the way back from the discus fish, right? So because the the Greeks were doing this in Greek Olympic Games way back. Why can't I find? Let's see here. So discus, being its common name, is because it looks like a plate, right? But it's actually within, it's within the genus cichlid, and then it's within I can never say this word, but Actinopterygii. And this kind of is a good segue to me, or for me, which is to say that when it has a double I at the end, this is one of those big exceptions. So when you're naming things, when you discover a species, say you find a new species, it's a major faux pas to go in and to name it after yourself. So you don't want to go into the jungle and find a frog and name it the Alex frog. If you did, though, you would name it the Alex, and then you'd add the letter I. And if it's already it's kind of like when you decide when to add an S on a plural, there's rules of you can add it if it's not a if it's a oh man, my brain is not coming up with the word. It's bugging me so bad. A vowel, if it's a vowel, or if it ends as a plural. So it would be the Alexii, or Alex I. And so that helps you guys know how to pronounce something. If it looks like a name that you recognize, then you know that the double I is going to sound like EI. And so you wouldn't say Alex EI. I mean, that sounds weird, but that is the actual correct pronunciation. And that's why in the hobby we have so many things that are pronounced wrong, or with plurals. Like a lot of times they'll say corridoras when it's just really corridora. Yeah, Thomas Hines, 100%. He just said axelrodi is a good example. So yeah, axelrod. Let me pull this up here. So Herbert Axelrod is a famous, I don't know, was he even an ichthyologist ever? He was a publisher of books. He has a PhD. Hold on, I forgot what his PhD actually is in. Biostatistician. Which is interesting. I don't even know what that is. It sounds like an older degree. But in any case, he started Tropical Fish Hobbyist magazine, and he also went on and funded, dozens and dozens of expeditions. And okay, here we go. Here, I was just looking for this list because it's in the notes. It should be in the note folder for sources. Oh, come on. Why is this thing being so slow? All right. So in a second here, you'll see this is what happens when you hold the power to a fish publishing empire. So it's a faux pas to name anything after yourself. But you can see that when you name something, a lot of times it'll tell you who named it. And this is like the official way we do it in biology. But for fish, when you look online, you're going to see the common name, so the cardinal tetra, and then you see Parachaerodon axelrodi, and then you're going to see LP, and we can see that's Leonard Peter Schultz, who in his own right has a bunch of fish named after him, like the Schultzii or Schultzii corridoras. And then it says what year that it was officially named in. Now, that doesn't mean it was discovered that year, honestly, because like we have a bunch of names stacked up with the CW numbers for Cories or with the L numbers for Plecos. So the Latin naming has to be accompanied with a peer-reviewed article that usually has illustrations and or lots of detail on why a species is its own species. But here you can see that he has a species of tetra named after him. He has another species of tetra and another species of tetra. And you see they named it the Herbert Axelrodi. And so they just smashed his name together, his first name and his last name. You don't add the I's if it is first and last name. In fact, that's very odd to add first and last name anyhow. But they would do that if another species already exists and you're a different person. So that's what makes it kind of odd that somebody else did this. And there's other names in the hobby like Innes or Schultz for that matter, or Smith, that you will find have 5-6 species named after him. Usually there's a Cory and a tetra named after all the main folks, or a cichlid. The Sundadanios, they have an Axelrodi. The Lake Malawi cichlid have one. The rainbow fish, Melotania, has one. Now, this is really interesting here. The Chilantharina axelrodi, the subfamily name here is a really odd one in that, will it stay here? Yes. In that it is Melanotani aniae. So when you have this AE, it's actually usually named after a woman, and it can be EAE or it can be AE, kind of just like it can be I or double I for a man. Now, here's more. I mean, this guy probably has the most fish named after him of anyone, I would guess. And there's more than just this list now, too. This guy actually has also a genus named after him, which is just ridiculous. I mean, and yeah, so in it, ooh, sorry if I just hit the microphone really loud. But don't name anything after yourself. In fact, I don't think they would let you get away with that, but generally it's a matter of honoring someone. You know, it's how you would honor, it's how you would say like thank you if they funded your work or if they built your laboratory. So if Dr. Mazeral's down in the Amazon and one of you donated money, if it was your first name, for instance, and you donated money and your name's whatever, Mark, it would be the Mark I or Marky I or Markier, if it's a woman named Mark, species, because he would name it after you, probably your last name. But in any case, so that's one exception. Now, the other exception, other than naming of people, is going to be the naming of places. And so that's also done. And when you give a species name, it's not capitalized, but the genus name is capitalized. So when you look at like Amazonia or Amazonian, there's a specific suffix that's Latin that we use for that. So we can do several, and when you look at the name of something, it can help you figure out where that thing came from. Now, they're not going to be given a name they're not going to be given a name that already, like saying like, I love New York, so I'm going to name it the New York fish. It's going to be a name of a place that is where the fish was collected, at least in every situation I've seen. So yeah. All right, well, let's play with this a little bit. So as a first example, I wrote a question earlier today. Let me pull this up. And it was, so if you're looking at this, and let me add it to the screen, that would help, right, guys? If you're looking at this, these are fish I completely made up. Pretend they don't look anything. I mean, you don't need to know what they would look like compared to anything real. There's no real names involved. So if I were to call this one of these a Crulensis trilineatus, which one would you guys expect that to be? So remember the colors. You guys recall which color was? Let me write this in the stream so you guys can actually see the proper spelling. So really good job, guys. You got it right off the bat too, but I'm gonna So I also included 16 more of these. But this one alone, let's see here. Can you hear me? Can you guys still hear me? Will the pictures be auctioned? No, definitely not. I mean, I drew them just for this. Okay, you guys can hear me fine. Okay. So what if I were to type in this one? So punctata, meaning spotted. So if you see a fish like there's some synodontis with that in their name. And let's just pretend that that means that the genus had my name. Right, so it'd be number one. It'd be the fish number A or letter A that looks like it has stars on it, because astro means heavenly or from the heavens, from above, and spotted. So we've got 3 blue lines and spotted. And then lastly, I gave the name, and just I'll type it out so you can see it, but this would be the Latin name. Erythro means red, by the way. Erythro petrocephalus. So we'll just pretend like this is also from the same genus of Alexii. And there actually should, so when you look like, there should be a U, sorry, in the E, after the E. But when you look at that name, isn't erythromycin blue? No, erythromycin's actually just a colorless crystal, but I don't know how it got its name. But all right, Agua Bonita, you have a good night. Yeah, learning the colors is really helpful. So So I just wanted to show you guys that just with colors, that helped you narrow down what's what with this slide. So let me show you another slide. If we were to go and let's see, is this a good one to go to? So there's 16 of these to quiz yourself on if you're interested, that I made, and then I've got the questions written up, like identify out of all these. So on number 3, this is written in the community tab for members, but number 3, it's going to be, you want to tell me which fish is Ancestris, which happens to be a real fish genus. So sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, but that is not important in this. You're mainly just practicing learning, putting things together and how they look and the variations. So, and it can help if you know an existing fish. So let's see here. What we'd call it would be Ancestris pulchera rubra. So out of these, which one of these do you think would be Ancestris pulchera rubra? Now, pulchera would be from the root pulcher, and crebensis pulcher, you've got pelvica chromis, and what that means is pelvic, from the body, pelvis, and then or belly, and or hip, and then you've got chromis, as in colorful. So they're basically colorful belly is their genus name for crebensis, and then the second part of the name, crebensis, is pulcher or splendens, or and same with bettas, they have that. So you'll see these reoccurring over and over and over again. Oh yeah, I should have lettered these ones, but I'm going A, and then to the right of it B, and then the next row C, and then D. So sorry, that's how it's not. So yeah, if you're playing along, but which one of these would be the Ancestris pulchera rubra? Fish dreams, bing, 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 bing. So you got it. Yeah, I figured, Mary, I figured you got it already. I know you've worked with animals too, and you're a smart cookie. Right on, Susan, you got it in there too. So yeah, and let's just try another one where you don't know the root. And then we'll look at some more roots, and if you guys have any questions, we can do that. But if you want to test yourself on more, it's as simple as looking up the roots for yourself. And then learning the suffixes and prefixes is pretty straightforward because you know them from your everyday life. So have the confidence in yourself that, like, if we wanted to look at these same fish, what could we name? Let me see here if we can zoom in a little bit better. Yeah, what could we name this guy, the letter A? So it's an Ancestris. It looks like a pleco. So we could name it the quattro, or quad, or quattro. That would be Latin for 4. And then you could do, you could do a number of things. You could just say 4 and then blue, or you could say 4 blue dots, or you could say, you could combine it so that it's, in order, so like ascending or descending, because there's prefixes for those things. There's actually some really interesting prefixes that exist for this stuff. So, I mean, it could be, let me look up real quick, I forgot it already. Latin for spotted. Maculosus. So when you see the word maculosa or maculose, any of those would work. So it could be quattro maculosa or quadra maculosa. That would totally work. So yeah, it's just, we could name it all sorts of things, but you know, if its genus already describes something similar, then you would try to, thank you, Susan, for, yeah, exactly. Now, we try not to generally do more than like 3 things at a time. So like Ancestris, like you said, like you wrote, Susan, Quadro Cyan Maculosa, that would probably be doable. I don't know for sure just because I'm not fluent in ancient Latin, but I mean, usually they'll keep it to 2 attributes or sometimes even 1, but sometimes they'll put like 4 attributes. Like Malua shrimp are par para dentata. They're caridina par pere par dentata. That's their name, par pere par dentata. So they have like 4 parts to their name, really, and that's just in their common name. 2 fish have 4 blue dots. Oh well, one is the eye. I'm sorry. So you could call it. So let's look at. So I happen to know off the top of my head, oculus is eye. So oculus, you could say cyan oculus or cerulean oculus or oculus cerulean. Now, usually it's not the full cerulean. It's condensed into a prefix or a suffix when it's combined. But yeah, exactly what Susan said. Now let me try to pull up the file. It's in these notes that are available for all y'all online. And so I figured these notes would help you guys more after the show if you want to play around and learn more. But what I'm going to show you next, if I can find it, is going to be the body parts. And you're going to be like, whoa, I know that one and I know that one. The other thing that's going to be handy is going to be knowing the, is going to be the numbers. So uni in Greek and Latin. So you got to kind of learn them for both, which is a bit of a bummer. But like right here, we could take a look at this list, and this is in the files also. This is the most common body parts listed for taxonomy. And for some reason, it had Brazilian Portuguese and Italian and everything else. But I just cropped the Excel file where I found these. But body, meaning corpus. So like Corpus Christi, Texas, means the body of Christ, Texas. In English, corpus, belly, stomach, venter, venture. Now, this could be shortened sometimes, and it'll get turned into like vent, and then they'll add the other word. I don't know the rules to that, and there are specific rules. But capillary, so like in your lung, you have cilia, and in your lung, you also have capillary little veins. They look like threads of hair or little, like a knot of hair, are your little teeny tiny capillaries, but the same root here. Now, coma is also another root from this. Now, oddly enough, sometimes there are several different roots that overlap, meaning completely different things because context was used. But like the head, caput, the brain or the skull, cerebrium, or cerebellum, you may know. The ear, iris, eye, oculus, just like the oculus rift, the nose, nasus, or, nasal, which means folding passageways or folding cave. Nasal has the NAS and then IL. So it shares similar reasoning why it was named. I know that's not very helpful. OS is for the mouth. Now, mouth also goes by stoma. I think that is, I don't know if that's Greek or Latin off the top of my head. Let's see if it says here. But you can also do, tongue, which is lingua. So some fish may have, lingua dente or lingua petrolith or something. or litholingua, which would mean like just like you think of a petroglyph or monolithic stone, or petrichor when it rains, the smell of rain. Those are Greek and Latin roots that all just mean stone. And so maybe a fish has a really rough tongue that has like armor or bone on it that crushes things, like it cracks nuts or something, like a pacu. And it might, have a name that hints at how it does that. So that's why these are helpful. So I've got a way more extensive list, but I just wanted to show you guys a couple of those. And then the other one I want to show you guys are that you'll see a lot of in our hobby, obviously, will be boy, that one's not very clear on. Okay, here we go. So I wanted to share another interesting one here. So here we've got some more colors. Now, leukos is this white or beige color. Well, the word leukemia comes from the same root because of the white blood cells that are involved. Chloros for this green, this is back in Greek, I think. So this color, this specific lime green, it has to do with chlorophyll. And then again, we see red, the erythros. Well, erythromicrons, or one of my favorites, which are the little teeny fish they have stripes on them. Well, they have kind of a bronzish color marking on their stripes, and then dark color on them elsewhere. And then they have, just like celestial pearl danios, they have fins that can have the color of like a red or an orange with them too on the edges. But I just thought those were interesting. But let's get back to all right, so here, this might be a little hard to read, so I'll try to, we'll look at it real quick though while it's here. So here we have, oh wait, you guys didn't see that. I'm so sorry. There we go. So chloros for this color green, leukos, or like I said, leukemia, but it's a range, and with every culture, your colors are going to range. And so Greek didn't actually have a name for the color blue early on. They would just say the color of the sea. So later, the word cerulean had to do with the sea that's off part of the coast. It's not actually a made up word that indicates color. It was a word first. And so when you read the Odyssey or the Iliad, like by Homer, the ancient epic poems from 3,500 plus years ago, they would say the sky was the color of wine, like for a stormy day. And so it would reference red wine, but they wouldn't say it was dark blue. So different cultures say things different ways, and the same is true with other words. Now here you can see maybe how that morphed into purple, porphyrios. But really I just wanted you to see the erythros for red, and then how we got that down to erythro, and then even E-R-Y or E-U-R-Y-T-H is enough of the word that it's used and becomes the word. So, and then rubra is the Latin. So these are Greek. So somebody mentioned rubra. But there's also other shades. So bright red or blood red may have a different word. So sometimes different words get used than the exact common name for a thing. But it's really helpful to know them. So then here in Latin numbers, you've got unum, unus, duo, trio, tres, quattro, quad. Now this is the name of those numbers, but like octopus, the name comes from having 8 arms. You know, decimal comes from the word decim, which is 10. So in any case, we don't need to go into the whole numbering system, but knowing the first like 5 numbers and all the names for them in Greek and Latin, knowing the colors, like so if you wanted to learn this in say a day or 2 days and know a whole bunch about all sorts of fish Latin names, I would say, I mean, just know slightly like the Amazonia is going to be from the Amazon. So there might be some place names you need to know. But first and foremost, you're going to want to know the color ones, the body part ones, and then the shape ones, or the like lines, dots, speckles, so patterns, and then also the body parts, like I said, so neck, eye, ear. A lot of times a fish will have an eye-shaped spot on the side of it, and so it could be called a speculatus or an oculatus, or whatever. And then the suffix and the prefix, they're useful, but sometimes you may not know what that means. It may be something you don't know, but you'll recognize the middle of the word. So that can help you a lot. So I hope this rundown makes sense, and I'd love to know what you guys think about it. I know I was bumbling because the internet and the computer are being really slow pulling up the files that I've wanted, which is a real bummer. But do you guys have any questions or thoughts or comments about this whole thing and what you think I should cover in a video if I were to try to condense it? I'm going to try to get off of here in the next 10 minutes because I don't want to overlap with ladies' night going on. But also, if you like little trivia and interesting information, check out the Aquatic Morning Show, by the way, on Maine's Tail Fern Fins, because Jess Norman, my good friend, she is doing basically like a variety morning show with her and Rocco of Rocco's Fish Room. Also, a few other people stop by. Sometimes they have special guests. Sometimes they have kind of just a rotating cast of characters. But essentially, they cover whatever's going on in the fish hobby event-wise and things like that. But I have a segment now daily where I do, 2 minutes to 5 or 6 minute long videos on something that happened that day, or a quirky invention, or recent news, or recent discoveries. And so I just wanted to give that little shout out while people are thinking of any questions. But Ladies Night is going on I think it's on 503 Aquatics channel. It is not all ages. It is definitely adult only, and those girls let it all hang out for it. But it's for for fish keepers who want to unwind and be with their friends that they know from chats and things like that from other streams. It may not actually be a whole lot of fish content on some of those channels where it's an open forum, and that's why I don't open up the forum all the time, is because I banter and go on bunny trails and rabbit holes, whatever you want to call it, far too much as it is when I'm trying to get to the point of something. But that's why I like that there are shows that are designed just to be a spot to unwind for friends. And so those links are being tossed up. And like I said, there's Saturday morning cartoons and Ladies Night, which aren't very let's just say there's a lot of cussing and just outlandish things that go on there. Some nights, other nights, it's about mystery snails and bettas. And then on the morning show, however, it is PG So no swearing or anything like that, which is also what makes the ladies' night funny, is because Jess is usually on it, and they're usually trying to make her blush by saying outlandish things. Tyler, I think the Epistogramma Benchi would do okay with checkerboard cichlids if it's a big enough tank, like a 40 breeder. Maybe a 20 long if it's only one pair of Epistos. Those Epistos get pretty territorial once they have babies. Probably fine until they have babies. Fine if they're growing out. But the other ones are rough too. Also, I want to just thank everybody who joined memberships tonight. I saw a few of them, but StreamYard is not showing me. And also, I saw the Denang chat. Thank you so much. Is it Denang 0259 $5 super chat? Really want to thank you there. Let's see here. Alex, is the Gilbert Eye sunfish, and so Gilbert Eye, being a sunfish, is named after somebody with the last name Gilbert. That's as simple as that, and you know that by the I at the end. So how established of a dirted 20 would you require to keep these fish with, say, 10 guppy males, and they are compatible? They're very, very shy fish. They're much better as a species only. The Elasomas are much better species only tank. But they can go with guppies or other fish. Guppies hang out towards the top. So I'd get some moss or something at the bottom that they can kind of root around in and hide in, and do that. Yeah, ocellatus means eye spot. Totally, Dragon Lair. All right, let's see here. Screamin' Fly Productions. Yes, you did miss a chunk of this. Let's see, where else are we? Scientific names mean things, and we should look them up. Well, yeah, they do, and they're fun. They're fun because they teach you more about how fish are categorized and things like that. Are there separate rules, Knight Rider wants to know, are there separate rules for bringing in non-European words? Yes. Like native language place names are radically different from the words in Latin and Greek. Yeah, there are some rules. And with something like, if you use the word television, for instance, something that just didn't exist during that time, if you wanted to use it, if it's not, I mean, they usually try to avoid those things, but there are occasions when it does happen, and they essentially leave it as is and give it either a Latin, and they tend to not be Greek. It tends to be Latin, a Latin prefix or suffix, which sometimes can be a word that already exists in a society, but not always. And if it's a place name, like you were saying, then they have specific endings, like Amazon has the Amazonas or Amazonian. So it's Indian. Amazonian is hard. It's hard to say. Indian or us, or and that's same with like how you name cities on a map. If you name them after a person, you would say Berg or Ville. You know, they're just different languages how that works. Let's see here. Mystery snails, bettas can get you into real trouble. Yeah, that's right here, Fishy. Anything with DD, yeah, gets off the rails quick. Edgar, hello. Yeti, enjoyed the stream. Was nice to hear a bit about why Herbo Axelrod has so many fish named. Yeah, that's another thing, is I encourage everybody to like go through and check out why it is that there are so many Schultzi or Herbal Axelrodi or Innis. I mean, it probably means they were either an incredible and inspiring person, or they had the money. Herbal Axelrod is notoriously thought of as a jerk by a lot of people who may have done a lot for the hobby, but a lot of people thought he was a jerk. And a lot of people call him Herbert Axelrod, including like Gary Lang and stuff like that. But it's a big honor to get a fish named after you, and it's kind of crazy when someone else has it. Like 50 times. 22 long with driftwood, leaf litter, botanicals, and a few plants. Yeah, it's probably all right, Tyler. Give them lots of caves. Lots of caves for the Epistos. See what happens. Keep an eye on them. Yeah, it helps. Yeah, Lady Diane, it helps me understand what my unnamed fish might be named. Yeah, I mean, you could even just give them names for fun to practice with this. And you can now use the internet and do whatever you want. But the files I put together were some of the notes that I found helpful. And there are 2 screenshots, and there's also a community post for members. So it's going to be easier for members. But basically, there's 2 black images. They're on a black background with white text. And they have a list of 16 questions that pair up with the 16 images. And I'll release the answers in a few days. If anybody wants to do them, just message me and I'll let you know the answers. But I'm going to probably release those in the video too. But I wanted to try them out on you guys first who are here and present. You know, I'm seeing that there's 40 of us, so we're the diehard nerds, right? Well, I'm going to get out of here, though, because Fish Dreams, what is up? I was trying to see, are you able to download anything? Oh, you don't have the ability to super chat, huh? It might be because, well, no, somebody super chat. I didn't put monetized on just because this is educational. I don't know. I just don't monetize all my streams. I didn't want you guys to have to watch a bunch of ads tonight. No problem, Susan. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Diehard fans, thanks, Cass. That's very sweet of you. I've been enjoying your videos too, by the way. All right, the money's. Oh, okay. Fish nerds, welcome. I like that, Anthony. Well, I'm going to get off of here, guys, just because I know some of y'all want to head over to the Ladies' Night stream, and others meander wherever you may go. Split up and swim around, school around, like little fish. But I really do appreciate it. Hey, guys, I got my teeth. So... if you could hit that like button on the way out, if you hadn't done that yet, that would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, so depending on the weather, I will be back on Friday morning, which is New Year's Eve morning, and we will be at Lawrence Kent, who goes and speaks all over the country, all over the world. He's spoken in Europe and stuff, and he has traveled to probably more countries than anybody collecting fish that I could think of, because for work he gets to travel probably 3 or 4 times a month to different countries. Usually gets to, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, but part of the deal is he gets to spend a day to 3 days tagged on to the trip for it. So pretty cool. These are the temps, Fanatic Owls. These are the temp ones. They're 3D printed, and I'm getting implants done after I get my spinal surgery in about 4 weeks. I'll probably be out for another week on the channel anyways, out when they do the big back surgery, which is going into my where my spinal column and my sciatic nerve have been completely mangled, basically. Why I can't feel my foot and all that stuff, and the really excruciating pain that I've been having for several years since I got hit by lightning, but even worse lately. So, so yeah, we've got that coming up, but I'm still going to keep chugging along, and hopefully we'll have some material so that the channel doesn't miss too much of a beat. But I really do appreciate y'all coming in and supporting the channel. Like I said, I spent a ridiculous amount of time making those little fish, like just illustrating the fish. It wasn't needed. I'm not trying to guilt trip anyone. I'm just saying that, like, if you want to use them, if you're a teacher for a class or something, like, I would feel good if somebody else had something to do, you know, was able to use them, even if it's making up your own names for them. And I'd love to see that, actually. If you download the Dropbox link that's pinned there in chat, and you like name each fish according to the Latin that makes sense for them, I'd love to try to like play the game with you guys, saying which one is named this, you know, out of them, because yeah, it's all set up. And you know, it's stuff like this that I'm thinking of. How can we do more engaging and interactive stuff with members and just with the community, with subscribers like y'all? And, you know, how much do people actually interact, or is it just, you know, so incredibly nerdy that it's not needed? You guys can just hear it once and that's that. But I thought I'd just play with it and create the stuff if you're interested. And then if nothing else, the notes are what I found helpful to figure out the names of about probably a few thousand fish, really, because I also have excerpts from the book. Here, let me show you this last thing before we go. In that file pack, thanks to John Monroe, this is a 1984, when it was last printed book. Let me make sure I can share the screen. I'll just throw it up solo. Let's see what happens here. And on here, you can see it's a little hard to read, but it's got common root words that are in the fish hobby already. So this isn't by head or body or numbers or anything like that. It is literally stuff that's common in the fish hobby that was assembled. Now, a lot of names have changed since this, but like, for instance, chordata means heart-shaped. Coloratus, colored. Like the Coloratus is the name of one of the Bacopas. There's a Bacopa colorata. So you can guess if it's Colorata versus Coloratus, that it's probably going to be the same thing. Or limnophilia is, philia means love, and limno means swamp. So it's a swamp-loving and aromatic plant. Aromatic meaning smells good. So Limnophilia aromatica, that's a plant that, you know. But in any case, there's about 12 pages of this. And again, you can see it's got a few place names too. So like from the river Cauca, I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's Caucana. You can just add ANA to a place name. You can add AIN. There's a few ways to do it, but it's that, and then the double I or single I for last names, and then if it's a female, it's the EA or A or EAE, Annie, like Annie's Goby. Stiphodon Annie was named after somebody's wife with the first name Annie. So that's that, and I'm going to stop in a minute here, but I hope y'all have, oh, you need someone who wants your bluegills. All right, contact Cassie B if you want her bluegill and you live in Florida. Glad you're feeling better, Gart. All right, guys. Well, I will talk to you later. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I just saw the super chat roll in, Eve. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and wish you the very best for the next upcoming year. And, you know, for those of you having a tough time out there, Catfish Terry and Holly, I mean, it's just so my heart is heavy for y'all right now, and we're thinking of you. We love you guys, and if we can do anything as a community other than just keeping on, please lean on us. We are here for you, and a lot of people have had some really unfortunate losses right during the holidays this year. Fishy Biz too. I just can't imagine losing a kid or a spouse, especially right during the holidays. Just so sad. So sorry to hear all that, guys. But as a closing note, thank you, lurkers. Thank you, those watching. I hope this was helpful to y'all. Thank you, super chatters, so much. Members, so much. Somebody else just signed up to a new, was it Fish Streams? Who was it? Somebody renewed their membership at the beginning of the stream, but I missed it, and for some reason StreamYard, the alerts are going away. So I'm gonna have to do like a members only stream where you guys help me work out the kinks of stuff that's screwed up in StreamYard and get it all set. Canastillo, that's it. Thank you. Canastillo Valley Cichlids. Thank you so much, Mary, for that. You have been an incredible mod tonight. Thank you. You always are. You don't need to. You're not required. Yeah, Fish Streams, you've been a member. Yeah, you have. And I was trying to think who it was because I was like, I'm pretty sure they're a member at some point. But that's all I'm going to say tonight. If you want to become a member, it's only $1.99, and you have access to extra stuff like this file pack, which tonight I'm just giving it away to all y'all. But to be a member, you just go to the description, and there is a link that will take you to be a member, or you go to my homepage on YouTube, and there is a sign up, join. It's like a join button, and that will get you there too. But yeah, it's just a nice way. I try to keep it at $1.99. You can pay more if you want to help out more, but that is about $1.20 comes back to me after handling and everything. But it's a nice way to know, especially when a few hundred of you have done it, which you have, and I feel so fortunate and honored. It's just money for the fish room, money to spend my time researching and making more elaborate and more detailed videos about things that people are asking about. So I hope everybody has an awesome night, and I'm thinking about everybody out there. You guys are my friends. You guys are my family, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.